By far, one of the most controversial moments in the Skywalker saga all has to do with the very ending of Episode 9 when Rey arrives on the world of Tatooine and calls herself Rey Skywalker after looking at the Force ghosts of Luke and Leia. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, the thing about Disney Star Wars is that as of right now, many retcons and changes are being made to the sequels, originals, and yes, even the prequel trilogy era that is really going to make the fans look at the Star Wars universe in a different light once this new Star Wars universe really reaches its peak, I should say, in 2021. That's where it's really going to be heavily introduced, big time, by Disney and Lucasfilm in the forms of books, novels, comics, and so on and so forth, right? So the thing about the character of Rey, one thing that a lot of fans, including myself, had a lot of issues with is the fact that she calls herself Rey Skywalker. If you guys like that idea, that is perfectly fine and okay in your book. But in my point of view, I feel like that they really should have done something different, and that's exactly what Bob Chapek is trying to do with, of course, Disney Star Wars by providing major retcons to this new Star Wars universe, one of which all has to do with resetting or restarting the concept of Rey Skywalker and exactly how it's going to be used in this new expanded universe that is actually said to be far larger than the old expanded universe from the 1990s and, of course, the early 2000s. Now, on top of all of this, what's really intriguing is that now that both Disney and Lucasfilm are finished with The Rise of Skywalker, they are focused on their new Star Wars trilogy of films as well as their new Star Wars universe. Currently, Disney is making many changes over at Lucasfilm in order to create a better future for the Star Wars brand in general by Bob Chapek, and how he is actually said to have approved major retcons coming to the Star Wars universe, or one of which is actually said to have a massive effect on The Rise of Skywalker as a film. Now, it's noted that currently Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, and George Lucas are all working together to develop a major retcon for The Rise of Skywalker, where, of course, Rey Skywalker in the upcoming new Star Wars universe, and a retcon that will also take place during the sequel trilogy of films. Now, it's noted that they are developing ways in order to make the character of Rey Skywalker an actual Skywalker by blood, or in some other way that will be very unique and unexpected for the fans to enjoy. Now, it's said that this is Disney's response to many fans that did not enjoy the fact that Rey just calls herself a Skywalker, and that Disney wants to add more reason as to why Rey would even think of calling herself a Skywalker at the very end of the movie. The major retcon is set to go into effect sometime next year in 2021 that will redefine the character of Rey Skywalker, that will truly reshape the sequel trilogy and the story of Palpatine. This plan by Disney is to also regain the lost fans that did not enjoy some key decisions made by Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy and director J.J. Abrams, where the Rey Skywalker retcon is currently being worked on and will be introduced in the new Star Wars universe in the near future. So the thing about this that seems like a very big risk, right, is of course how in the world are they going to do this by making Rey actually connected to the Skywalker bloodline. Now, we went over this not too long ago, that they actually had light plans of retconning the character of Rey Skywalker and finding a true reason as to how she could be actually connected to Palpatine and the Skywalker bloodline at the same exact time. The thing about this that really does interest me the most is, of course, this could have something to do with the fact that George Lucas wants to model this new EU off of the old one. Now, in the old expanded universe, you guys may recall that there was an actual segment in there where Luke Skywalker's severed hand is actually discovered, where a clone of Luke is actually made, where it's got like 2 extra U's or K's or something like that in his name. Very interesting side story, and they could very well be doing something similar to that with Rey, where maybe she's got Skywalker DNA in her, and she was actually, yes, still connected to Palpatine, but also maybe even created by Palpatine in different ways. Now, of course, you can't retcon Palpatine's son. That's actually in the movie. That's going to be very hard to take out. So they're not going to do that. So this Rey Skywalker retcon, what in the world is going on? Exactly how can they really do this? Well, I believe that the only way that you could realistically do this is where Ben Solo gives his life force to Rey, his entire life force, his DNA makeup, or whatever have you, becomes one with Rey. So both Ben and Rey become one, essentially. And that, to me, I think would be probably the best explanation as to how they can make Rey an actual Skywalker. instead of just herself calling herself Rey Skywalker. That to me makes more sense. But that's just on my part. That's how I see things could very well be done by George, John, and Dave, even though they are currently hard at work on developing this remotely. And all this will be introduced sometime next year in 2021, which, in case you guys did not know, is going to be a very big year for this new universe. It's going to be huge. The end of this year of 2020, it's going to be the introduction of the new EU, and it's going to start to really come out in phases. So with that being said, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.